we are very, very excited to see all of you back here. And as I said, our day is filled with very enriching sessions by some of our biggest stalwarts from the DevOps galaxy, who are all here to share their insights and thoughts on the topic of sustainability in IT systems. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's start off. So today we are joined by not one, but two dynamic speakers who are going to join us and give their deep insights on navigating the future, sustainability, and resilience in IT systems. So our first speaker is a seasoned IT industry consultant with an impressive 13-year track record of driving results and innovation. A passionate DevSecOps and SRE evangelist, he has made his mark as a dynamic speaker in global events, sharing his expertise on cutting-edge IT practices. His extensive experience includes helping Fortune 500 companies enhance their ways of working through impactful consulting engagements. Our visionary's multifaceted skill set extends to conducting assessments in areas such as project and portfolio management, DevOps, and SRE. And what's more, he is the chief organizer of the DevOps India Summit, the very reason we are right here, right now, all together under one roof. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I now invite on stage the one and only Dr. Niladri Chaudhary. And sir is not alone today. Joining him in this session as a speaker is Dr. Surabhi Prakash, a dynamic and enterprising leader with 19 years of experience in multicultural startup and high-growth environments. As the Chief Operating Officer at Excellentor Consulting Services, Surabhi has demonstrated exceptional skills in executing key initiatives in collaboration with senior executives and promoters. Her leadership is characterized by her ability to navigate and excel in dynamic and high-growth environments, contributing significantly to the success of the organizations that she has been a part of. So as a dynamic duo, Dr. Niladri and Dr. Surabhi bring a wealth of experience and insights to the table, promising an engaging session on the topic, navigating the future, sustainability and resilience in IT systems. On that note, let's make some noise for Dr. Niladri and Dr. Surabhi, everyone. Let's make some noise. Come on, guys. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Ria, for this wonderful introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this session on navigating the future, resilience and sustainability in IT systems. So let's set the context. We all are living in a technology-driven age. Businesses want to stay competitive and relevant, and that is where everybody wants to embark on the digital transformation journeys. Let's look at some statistics to understand the scale of growth in this space. So as Gartner says, 91% of businesses are engaged in some or the other form of digital initiatives. And 87% of business leaders say that digitalization is a priority for them. The digital transformation market is growing at a CAGR, compound annual growth rate of 16.5%. Global digital transformation spending is projected to reach $3.4 trillion US. So this explains the scale of growth, where we are heading to, and what is going to come next. Has anybody amongst you ever came across this picture? Anyone? So this is a man walking in the floodwaters in Africa, a village in Africa which received unprecedented rainfall due to climate change. So not just this, there are several incidents of heat waves across the globe. The sea level is rising up. The marine life is in danger. So all this is having a very negative repercussions on the climate. The next 5 years is going to record the warmest period in the history. The food security, health, everything will come in danger. And that is the reason this topic is important today. Let's look at, has anybody ever wondered if there is any connection between climate change and technology? If not, let's look at some of the numbers here.
So we have only one person who said yes. So others don't feel that we are not contributing. Okay, thank you.
So let's look at the numbers here, some numbers. So we'll see the electricity consumption by the digital tech sector, which increased from 2.5% to 3.7% between 2013 and 2018. Training a single AI model generates 626,000 pounds of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to life cycle generation of 4 average American car. 7% of global electricity consumption is by tech sector today, and which is going to rise to 13% by 2030. So this was just about electricity consumption. Let's look at water consumption. So GPT-3, which is supported by US data centers, it consumes 3,500,000 liters of water every day. And GPT-3 supported by data centers in Asia, it consumes 4,900,000 liters of water per day. So this is the pace at which digital transformation is happening. And it is going to the situation is going to worsen. And that is where it becomes important. And all this will have the impact on business. We are already witnessing the impact. This is a graph of the power outage which has happened in US between 2011 to 2021. 83% of the power outage is because of the climatic conditions. So this explains how everything is related. With this, I would like Dr. Niladri to talk about the
Who all have heard
connection.
about Industry 4? Industry 5? No one? First time? Okay. There'll be a donation box, you can put your money there for introducing Industry 5. So Industry 5 was basically coined by Jeroen Krijsenbrink, and the concept mainly here that it is talking about is we have to move away from the way that we are doing our business, the way that we are using technology. We have to move from a technology-centric to a human-centric approach. We have to move from a profit-driven to a sustainability-driven. And why is this important? Because if you look at it, if we think of profitability, it is not going to work. How many of you know that last month and the month before, there were outages in the data centers of one data center of Google and one data center of Microsoft because of climatic reason. The external temperature was so much that the internal cooling system could not work and it crashed. So the point is, if you look at the Arizona report, it says there will be so much of heat waves, which is also going to impact the power outages. There will be huge, long duration power outages. So if there is no power, how are you going to even run your systems? If you cannot run your systems, how are you going to run your business? So profitability will not make any sense if the business itself is not going to run. So we have to start thinking from that point of view. That's why We have to move from profit-driven to sustainability-driven. And we have to move from efficiency-focused to resiliency-focused. How many of you talk about productivity? Sensitive topic, right? Developer productivity, newer one, right? If your outcome is fine, if your value creation is fine, the rest of it all falls through. But if we think only in terms of productivity or the internal aspects without looking at the value creation, it is not going to help in business. And here I would also like to talk one more point. We have to start looking at the different stakeholders, not just the shareholders. And who are the 4 stakeholders? Customer is one. There will be 3 more. Business, employees, 4th? Yeah, customers, business, employee. What is the 4th one? Yes, absolutely. Have you ever seen anybody talking about DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, SAFe, Scrum, where they have talked about how to utilize, how to work together with the ecosystem, with the service providers? No. How many organizations do everything on themselves? Maybe a handful. When Benjamin Traynor-Slaws, who created SRE, was one of the speakers in DevOps India Summit, when I asked him that in a practical situation of Infosys creating, I'm just giving random example, Infosys creating a software, Capgemini doing the testing, TCS doing the level 3 and 4 support, and LTI doing a level 1, 2 support, who and how is going to implement SRE? The video is still available on our Excellentro channel. He said it cannot be done. I don't agree to that. We have to think in doing it differently, but that's how we have to start thinking. So we have to change our way of doing things. That's what Industry 5 is about.
So that is why sustainability and resilience in IT systems becomes very important today. So what is resilience? It's the ability of IT systems to withstand and recover from unexpected disruptions such as cyber attacks, hardware failures, or natural disaster. I already mentioned about natural disaster. Hardware failures and cyber attacks is something which all of you know. Sustainability is about building and maintaining IT systems that minimize environmental impact and optimize resource utilization. We are talking here in terms of IT systems. So this is what is our focus now. So, yeah.
What will happen? What do you think will happen if there is a 10-hour outage on a HDFC or a ICICI bank? Anyone? What do you think will happen in India? Chaos, right? But very recently in Singapore, one of the largest banks in Singapore had a 10-hour outage. Within a week's time, there was another 3 hours outage. Right? Small place, so no chaos was there. But the point is, who suffered? The customers. So until and unless we really focus about customer, it is not going to work. And that is why resilience is so important. My business is going to run only when my customers' needs are satisfied. And as Google says in their latest SRE book, a system is not sustainable if it is not resilient. Or rather, the system is not resilient if it is not secure. Now, when we talk about resilience, resilience is not just is about any outage which affects the customer. It can be the normal operational outage. It can be vulnerability related outages. And we cannot look at it separately. Both have to come together, and the processes and technology should be such that both can be handled in the same way. And that is what actual essence of SRE is, not putting some observability tool. Right? The second part is sustainability. So when we are talking about sustainability, if we are talking about business to be sustainable, one, we have to make sure that things are resilient. We have to make sure that we are looking at the environment, because if we are putting like 4% as of now, nearly 4% of overall carbon footprint in the world, which is more than the sum total of aviation plus water plus rail travel emission. Our travel, somebody, Indian person, he posted once, while he was flying from Mumbai to New York, the flight that he takes, the Boeing that he takes, the amount of carbon footprint it creates is equivalent to running 400 Kubernetes clusters. Okay? And you have a Mercedes who says that our cars runs on 13,000 Kubernetes clusters. That was a couple of years back, okay? So you can imagine the amount of footprint we are creating. You already saw some of the statistics with the ChatGPT and all. So we have to start looking at the environment.
So, as he just explained, resilience in IT systems is important because of 3 reasons. Customer trust, we all know business cannot run without customer trust. And customer trust is disrupted if there is no security and if there is downtime, if there are outages. So there cannot be the customer trust cannot be there. So definitely resilience is important. We need to ensure these things and it has to be taken care of.
Anybody has heard about Charlie Green's trust equation? Charlie Green's trust equation? So Larry Mascheroni once told his boss that we have to have trust, and boss said, okay, that's fine. Do you think there is a equation for that? And he had a very interesting discussion about Charlie Green's trust equation. So Charlie Green's trust equation says that a trust is built, first, you need to have credibility. So what you do should be good, you should be credible. Second, reliability. The two terms are different, credibility and reliability. Reliability means that people can rely on you. That means you are going to continuously perform in the same manner. Not that today suddenly you do good, next 2 days you are bad, again someday you are good. No, not like that. So there has to be reliability. Credibility, reliability, and the third is empathy, which is basically about the interaction between the people. How you have a cross-functional team working together. And the common denominator is one common shared goal. And in our case, the common shared goal is delivering value. If we do not think that, anything that we talk about, any framework that we talk about, any tool that we are using is useless. You will get some benefit here and there because of automation or something or the other, but you are not going to achieve what you need to achieve. And that's why, as you see, more than 90% of the digital transformations today fail.
Yeah. So sustainability in IT system is definitely important. We know that environmental concerns are there much more. That is why everywhere this talk of sustainability is on. Corporates committing their net zero targets, all because people have started realizing that environmental concern needs to be addressed, otherwise there cannot be any business. Energy efficiency, we know that whether it is renewable or non-renewable sources of energy, whatever we are using, it is important to conserve both. Non-renewable, we know that it is limited. It will not even last. We don't have much. And we have to leave something for the future generations also. And renewable energy, even if it is there, we have not yet been able to harness it very well. So definitely, whatever all said and done, reduction is very, very important, and that is why energy efficiency has to be looked into. Cost saving, I mean, businesses, we know, cost saving everywhere. This is something not to be explained. Everybody knows, everybody. It's the one area which is of prime importance, and practicing resilience, practicing sustainability, it enables costs. It decreases the cost. E-waste reduction is another very big area. We just saw about electricity consumption, we saw water consumption, but e-waste is another very, very big challenging area. And because of more production, because of technological obsolescence, because of systems or devices which cannot be repaired, somewhere we are increasing electronic waste. And it is, most of it, there is a huge amount which goes into landfilling. There is another problem that lot of e-waste is being transported from developed countries to undeveloped and underdeveloped countries like Africa and Asia. And it is impacting it is contaminating the water, the soil, everything. So we are here facing these problems. So e-waste reduction is very, very important. And regulatory compliance. There are new rules and regulations coming up every day. I mean, we just saw that SEBI launched its BRSR guidelines, whereby top 1,000 listed companies in India have to report their ESG. So regulatory, from this perspective also, it is very important to look at the sustainability. And when I say sustainability in IT systems, definitely everything is IT is one which is underlying any business. So it has to be looked into. It cannot be compromised. It cannot be ignored.
So if you look at sustainable IT, we look at it in two parts. The first part is practicing IT in a sustainable manner. That is where we are talking about, as a developer, how can I think in terms of doing things by using lesser resources, lesser RAM, lesser CPU, lesser storage. That is one part. The other part is also in terms of your infrastructure, how we can make it more efficient, right? We have to architect it properly. We have to choose the right kind of tool, like a Python is in the 75 points between 1 to 100 in a study. Whereas if you look at a C, it is at 1.0. A C++ is at 1.03. A Go is around 12 or 13. You have Ruby on 83 in terms of the amount of emission that happens in a scale. So we have to start looking at how do we choose the right kind of tool. And if we have to practice sustainability, we need to start looking at really learning how to code. All this low code, no code is not going to help. It is good to a certain extent when you are looking at a resource constraint, when you are looking at a situation where you have the resource constraint, so you get an acceptable level of code which is there. But if you really want to code properly, if you want to do it, you have to get down into understanding internally how it works, so that you decide how the code should perform and not the code decides how you should write. Right? So you need to make such changes. If you see this thing, it is complete. That is entire life cycle you have to look at. Starting from the starting point, even in terms of what is a laptop that you are using, because a laptop that you are using, only 10 to 15% is your carbon footprint in the usage stage. The carbon footprint, 85 to 90% is at manufacturing and transportation. So the life cycle of a laptop, the more we can increase. Many of us, we work in organizations, every 3 years the organization wants to change our laptops, right? We have to move from that. How do we make that 3 years to 8 years? How do we make the servers move from 5 years to 10 years? So that circularity and all those concepts has to be brought in. Then the development, then the production, how much of data is moving in the network, how can we reduce that movement, how can we have relevant data only at the edge, so that wherever it is being used is where the data is. Because the more we travel, the more energy consumption, the more carbon footprint. We have to start thinking from those point of view. It's not a separate technology, it's not a separate concept, but a separate way of thinking to implement the tools that we already have in hand, right? And then finally get into the IT asset disposition, or ITAD, what is called the the e-waste part of it, which is your IT asset management aspect. We have to be now responsible for where it is going. Because as our guest of honor spoke in the morning, only worldwide, only 17% of the materials can be recycled, not more than that. So recycling is not an option. Option is reduction. And that's where we have to also start thinking, do we really need a ChatGPT to write our PPT? Do we really need it to create a picture of Rajdeep with somebody else's head or body? Maybe not. So we need to have responsible, ethical use of technology. And regulatory compliance anyway is there. So,
Yeah, so definitely, I was having a discussion with some of the guests in the morning, and they were expressing their concerns that it is challenging. It is easy said, but there's a lot of challenge in implementation. Agreed, challenges are there, and these are the reasons for the challenges. Rapid technology advancement is one of the major challenges in implementing resilience or sustainability. We just saw with ChatGPT, there was this incident of Samsung, whereby they used ChatGPT and some confidential data on their semiconductors was, captured by the system, and it just went here and there. So those kind of challenges will be there with the technology advancement, but then we have to navigate through, we have to see how we can go through. Cyber security threats, definitely with new technologies, and otherwise also, I mean, if developers and other IT professionals are working 10, then the hackers are working at 10x, 100 times more. So they are definitely ahead. So cyber security threats is going to increase, doesn't matter what. Regulatory changes, yes, it is lot of regulatory changes are happening, and very fast. Something is happening in India, some regulations are coming in Europe, and in a globalized setup, everything impacts each other. I mean, just now we are saying there are a lot of organizations operating in India, from India, but having some partners somewhere in other parts of the world. They want to follow some guidelines, some are following GRI, some is asking for BRSR, then there are many more. So those kind of things are also there. So it definitely is a challenge. Resource constraints, as I mentioned, that resource is limited. Resource in terms of, in the corporates are limited. Companies are not going to allocate separate people to do resilience or sustainability. It is the same set of people, the practitioners, who have to adopt, who have to learn, who have to work on their mindset, have to come up with the different technologies to do it, and has to implement it, because it is the earth, the planet is ours. It's not somebody else. So we have to be responsible enough. We cannot think that somebody else will come and do that. So definitely amidst all this, we have to make a headway. What is the choice? If we say it is challenge will be there. But is there a choice not doing it? That is how we need to think.
So if you look at the resource constraints, we have to also understand the awareness of sustainability in IT is not very high. And that is the first area that we need to hit. And even today, if you look at the chief sustainability officers in a general sustainability or the board of directors, they also do not have a clear idea of what is expected of sustainability. The reason is they are picked up from the current existing role, right? So with that, some of the best practices, resilience, I think you all know, have risk assessment, threat modeling is important even though not many does it. Business continuity, when you have a 10-hour outage, obviously you have to question whether the business continuity plan was properly there or not. Documentation, knowledge sharing, it has been there and idle for a very long time. We have to look at sustainability practices, that energy efficiency, resource optimization, awareness. So we talk about a 3-step process: awareness, consciousness, enablement. You are aware first of all, then you practice. How many of you have ever calculated how much of carbon footprint your laptop generates? Somebody has. Not many, right? Look at it. My MacBook Pro, it's 96 watts. If I look at it at 100 watts, 8 hours per day into 300 days per year, I use 240 kilowatt hours of energy. And the amount of carbon footprint in terms of US terms, because India is much more less greener, in US terms, if you look at it, I need to plant 10.3 trees to absorb that much of carbon. But that realization itself changes a lot of things, right? So there are some real world examples. We are not going to go through it. If you see, many organizations are doing it in different shapes and forms. These are the ones which is related to the resilience part of it. Some are doing chaos engineering, some are doing blameless postmortems, etc., etc. And you find that Indian companies also are practicing. But what you see is that all of them are talking about having the security part of the entire life cycle, not depending on just certain few tools to give you certain results at the end of things. Then it is not going to work. And number two, the security team, dev and ops have to work together. If you have read a book called Investments Unlimited, check it out because it's based on real story about how the security and GRC team works together with the IT team, DevOps team, SRE team. That's interesting. If you look at organizations on the sustainability side, if you will see that most of the organizations that they are doing are basically working on infrastructure. But very few are working on the development process, on the architecture, on the entire life cycle, on the e-waste, on the IT asset disposition, on the circularity. Not many are doing it.
But interesting enough, we have some organizations who are also working on the SDLC side in order to address the problem of sustainability. Companies like Netflix and American Airlines, they have...
Like if you see Vivint Solar, it's a very good example of how they have used technology to improve their actual business sustainability, which is the second part that I talked about of sustainable IT, that is IT enabling sustainability in business, right? So we wanted to give a thought, plant that seed in your mind, and we will take it forward with the Green Computing Foundation by adopting the Sustainable IT Manifesto, and would like you people to join into that movement.
Yeah, and there are a lot of blogs which we have posted in the Excellentro website. There are some blogs in Green Computing Foundation's website also, blogs on cost out transformation, how lack of data leads to greenwashing, how we can do. So there are a lot of things. What are the 4 pathways for practicing sustainability? So I would request you all can go through that. That will give you a good amount of understanding, because we have time constraint here, we cannot take much. So as we would like to conclude with, yes, alternative digital future is possible, and resilience, a resilient system is a sustainable system. A sustainable system is a resilient system. So it goes hand in hand, we cannot segregate the two. So that is how we need to change our mind shift and adopt innovative approach, bring more towards new ways of working and do things. It is possible. That's how we would like to end.
Thank you, everyone. We will be there. So any questions we will take up during the
Yeah, so we have a lot
breaks.
of courses and other consultings also on these sites, which is, the details are available in the booth. Anything, if anybody wants to know, can check out in the Excellent booth.